Hey guys, so I originally on my video where I talked about a little bit about what I got and stuff with at my visit. Okay, let me start over. I just finished filming a video where I talked about what I read during my visit to my grandmother's and some of the things I got while I was there that are book related and non-book related. And I was going to put in that video the books I was planning on reading the rest this month or thinking about reading. But the video was getting too long and I was worried it wouldn't upload onto YouTube. So I don't know if that's YouTube or if it's well, actually it's probably YouTube. Probably the video can't be too long. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you guys about the books I'm thinking about reading the rest of this month. So, like I said, this is one of the books if you watch that video I just mentioned, this is one of the books I'm thinking about reading this month. That is one of the books I just got from Barnes & Noble. It's actually a book that I had a hard time finding. I would probably have to get it online. But I finally spotted it at Barnes & Noble, and I was very happy. It was the only copy, so I was like, I'm jumping on this. I don't care how expensive this is. And plus, I had, 2 Barnes & Noble gift cards, and I only have a little bit left on there. So, because both the books I bought were kind of expensive. But this is one I'm thinking of. And it's about a very strong woman. I can use this for Women's History Month, which I believe is this month. So I'm thinking about reading that one. And then, this is one that I attempted to start reading this a while back. And I had a hard time the first time getting into it because it's a continuous narrative type book. So I want to try again this month because it doesn't really, if you don't think about the fact that it's a continuous narrative, it's really not that long. It's about just over 200 pages. Like 209 is the last page number. In case this is Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. This was my sister's originally, and a lot of times I end up getting a lot of her books. And now, it's where I might borrow a couple of her books. So I don't get as many as I used to when we were living in the same house. But this one used to be one of her books, so I want to read this one. I've heard a lot of good things about Virginia Woolf, and I want to give her a shot. And I want to try reading this one again. So this one is one that I might read this month. And I'm also going to continue with this one. I've read the first few chapters of this one. I am up to chapter 10. So I've read the first 10 chapters of this. This is the third book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I can't really tell you much about it because it would spoil for you if you have not read this series and are thinking about reading it. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It's a nice, more young adult version of the Game of Thrones series, aka Song of Ice and Fire series. And I'm liking it. Now I'm very nervous about, I heard that up to the books 1 through 4 are the best. Book 5, I've heard from some booktubers that I like that book 5 is not the best book in the series. They kind of lost its momentum in book 5. Like that, for people who people who understand writing and stuff, this particular booktuber was saying that the writing is not as good and it's much more tell than show, which is something you shouldn't do. And when you're writing a book, you want people to get lost in your book. So you want to show them what's going on. You don't want to just tell them, this person is crying, or these two people are having sex. You want to actually show them. Now, of course, some people don't want a visual of a sex scene, and some people don't care. But basically, you're supposed to show people what's going on. Don't just tell them that this thing is going on. You actually describe it and show it. And this one booktuber that I trust was saying that book 5 was kind of, doing more tell than show. But book 6 is the last book, has improved it, and the series kind of got back on its feet in the last book, but unfortunately that's the last book. So, But I want to finish reading this one so I can read Frozen Tides, and then I'm going to get the Crystal Storm, which is the 5th one, and then I can get the last one. And maybe by the time I get the last one, they'll have a paperback edition. But sometimes those paperback editions take forever to come out. And it's annoying because the hardback editions are not cheap, and at least for someone like me who has a limited income, and I have to be somewhat cautious when I buy my books. And I'm already not cautious enough when I buy books. I mean, like, a couple weeks ago, I bought like 5 books, and I didn't need to do that. I have a problem. So yeah, I want to continue with this one. This isn't exactly woman, like, is a reference to females, but it is by a female author, I could sort of count it in a small way. And there's also very strong, there are 2 strong female characters in the series, so it could count. Wait, let me put this here. Okay, so next, this is another one, I just want to continue with this one. It's not one of those, actually, yeah, you can count this one too, because it's also by a female author, The Secret History. I just want to continue this one. I finally got to, the section that is book 2, and it's only chapter 6. That's what's the problem. A lot of those adult books are super long, to the point of, even though you read a lot, you're only just on chapter 6. Or like when you feel like you've read a lot, but really you've only read like this much. So yeah, I just want to continue this one. There's no reference to Women's History Month in this, except for it's by a woman, just like Gathering Darkness. Okay, so next, I want to start reading this one, The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. It's one of those classics. It's about this woman, Isabel Archer, who comes to America, comes to Europe, comes to England. She's an American who comes to England. And she is, from what I remember reading in the back, she is caught between 2 men. So it's a ultimate love triangle storyline, but I'm not one of those people who's going to not read something just because it has a love triangle. And I can understand why they're annoying and people don't want to read books with love triangles, because it's a very common trope. It's used a lot, especially in YA. But it's not a turn off for me. It doesn't stop me from reading the book. In this one, so I'll read that one. And like I said, it's about a woman. So yeah. So that's an obvious one. Next, this will be a reread by my favorite author. This is probably my second favorite book by this author, Kate Morton. But my first favorite is the first book I read by her, The Forgotten Garden, which has nothing to do with Secret Garden. It has a garden in the story that's very special to the protagonist. But it's not like Secret Garden. Don't let people tell you it's something like Secret Garden, because it's nothing like Secret Garden. The only thing that those two have in common is the garden. There's a garden in the story. That's very important. But this is my second favorite by this author. And from what I remember, it's about these 2 women and their relationship, and how, and they have this very weird relationship, and they're both in love with the same guy, I think. So this is another one that's like a love triangle, but it's a beautiful story. And like all of Kate Morton's book, it goes back and forth between the present and the past. Because this one is set the present is the 70s, I think. So, and then you go back to the 1940s with the 2 women. Like I said, this was my favorite. I think it's that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is my second favorite. So I definitely want to read this. Okay, yeah, that's that one. So this one is an obvious. Well, all Kate Morton's books you can read during Women's History Month, because they're all about strong female characters. sometimes they make stupid decisions in these stories, but it's a good. So I'm gonna. Okay, so next, this one is not really. Again, this is one of those ones that the only thing is that it's written by a female, and yes, there is a strong female character in this, and if you, like I said, if you watch my video about where I took my trip to visiting my grandmother, I mentioned that I got the third book in this trilogy. This is the second one, so I'm gonna try to read this one this month. And if I remember, it's a quick read. Like, the chapters are really short usually in these books. I like how this book, how she divides her books. You know, it makes it a lot easier and quicker for me to read. But yeah, so this is the second one. This is $15.99. So $16. So I don't know if I bought this one myself or someone bought it for me. I can't remember. But yeah, this is the second one in the trilogy. Although I feel like you can read the first one as a standalone, because it does have an ending to it, but it does leave it kind of open for the second book. But I feel like it can also be read by itself, because I feel like it does end. If you didn't want to continue the series, if you just didn't get into it, but yeah, so I'm glad I had the third book though. So now I can read this one, and then I can read the third one, and I will complete the series. Not that I want to rush it, but oh my god, damn it! Okay, so this is why this is the other reason why I like the magnet bookmarks. Not only do these tend to fall out, but either the tassels or whatever's hanging on the bookmark, it tends to fall off if I move these too much, which, okay, technically that's my fault, but I mean, it's more convenient if it's one of those magnet bookmarks where it's more secure, and then I can't, like, shake it around and stuff. Where's that thing? Okay, I don't know where that thing is, but here it is. I'll get that later. Okay, let me just finish telling you guys what I'm gonna read. Let me do this one first. The next one, I was gonna read his other book, A Separate Country, but I decided, since it doesn't technically focus on, it's like a woman, like, I mean, it kind of focuses on a woman, because the main protagonist of the story is a man, and he finds like, he's trying to find a wife, and the wife he does find one from what I read on the back, and she is a very unique, accepting person about his past. So it kind of does. I guess I could kind of read it, but I think this one would fit more with Women's History Month. The Widow of the South by Robert Hicks. This is about a woman who lost her husband during the Civil War, and it's about the aftermath of that. And I believe she's haunted by the ghost of him or something. And I'm just going by what I remember reading in the description, in the little summary of the plot. And this is his debut novel. And it's based on a true story, too. So, I guess this one came first, and then A Separate Country came, which I think my friend Larissa, my best friend Larissa, has A Separate Country. That's kind of what originally got me, that kind of piqued my curiosity the first time. It was only a little bit, but then I saw the book, and I guess subconsciously I remembered that she had that book, so I ended up buying it. Plus, I'm kind of getting into this whole time period, like between the 1700s and the 1800s of America. Like, there's so many books about the 1800s, particularly, but in England. And, you know, with Jane Austen's novels and other authors, like the Bronte sisters, which that reminds me, there's a thought I had that's related to the Bronte sisters and their works, or that I need to tell my friend Terry about. But anyway, so I want to read this one as well for this month. Like I said, I don't know if I'll get to all these, because I only have 2 weeks left, I think. But I'm gonna try to get as many done as possible. I mean, I would love. It would be really. It would make me feel really proud if I got beyond my 7 book mark. Because usually, at the most, I'll read 7 books. Which I know that's not the important thing. It's just the fact that I'm reading is what's important. But it's also kind of. I do have a bit of a competitive streak, a tiny bit, and I feel like a sense of pride when I've accomplished something. And if I'm, that's why I have no problem with the Goodreads goal. It's not about me reading more books than everybody else. I mean, yeah, there are times when I'm like thinking, oh my god, I wish I could read that many books. When I watch booktubers talking about like they've read 50 books or like 100 books or 200 books. I mean, I definitely envy those people who can do that. But I mean, I also choose sometimes not to read. I choose to watch TV, and I choose to not read when I'm in the car and we're traveling. I mean, of course, sometimes I feel like it's hard to read in the car because there's still, there's all these. If you're with other people, they're talking, and then there's the radio playing. And it's a lot of really close distractions. Although sometimes I can read with the radio, with music playing, because there's nothing to look at when you're playing music. And it's not directly in my ear when it's music. So sometimes I can read when it's with music. So anyway, back to this. So this is another one I would like to read. What's next? I have here. I want to read this one, The Paying Guest by Sarah Waters. And I got really excited because I found out there's an LGBT relationship. The main protagonist, I think she's a lesbian. She's actually gay. And so I was very because I always feel a little bad. I feel bad when I don't happen to read a lot of books that have those kind of relationships in it, because I know it's important to read diversely. I just don't. I read the back description, and if something that interests me, then I will check it out. I don't go searching for books that have, characters that happen to be gay. I have nothing against it. I just don't go looking for those books. If a couple like that or a character like that happens to be gay in a book that sounded interesting to me, then, that's awesome. And it made me very excited that this book, and I know there's books like Love, Simon, or not Love, Simon, that's what the movie's called, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and I have read, Becky Albertalli's, The Upside of Unrequited, yay, remember it this time, which has her, the main character's sister is a lesbian, and her parents, I think, their adopted parents, I think, are also lesbians. Actually, I don't think I know they are. But I'm not a huge fan of contemporary, because I see that stuff all the time in the real world, so I don't want to read about it. I'm more of a reader that likes to escape when I read books. So I want to read fantasy or sci-fi or horror or historical fiction. And this is historical fiction. But it made me really excited. This, especially knowing that there is a gay relationship in this. Made me feel a little less guilty and very proud that I come across something like this. But anyway, this is set in the 20s, which is my favorite decade. It's about this mother and a daughter who own this inn, and this couple comes to their inn, and there's a little bit of a secret relationship. There's a bit of a forbidden love thing going on with our protagonist, and so that's just from reading the back of the book. I haven't read it, obviously. I mean, yes, I have a bookmark in here, but that doesn't mean I've started it. I just went ahead and put the bookmark in here on chapter 1. Okay, so next. And this one obviously is good for Women's History Month because, And then next, I have here The Rook by David O'Malley, or Daniel O'Malley, not David. This is kind of a action adventure, I guess, from what I read, about this woman who wakes up surrounded by dead bodies, and she receives a message from someone who happens to be herself, telling her that she can either walk away from this or figure out what's going on and who she really is. And of course she doesn't walk away, and she discovers that she is a Rook, which are people that protect England from the supernatural forces. So it's kind of like the British. They're kind of like the men of letters in Supernatural. So I decided, what a cool concept. How could you not want to check out this concept? So I'm gonna read this one too. And then these last 3 books are books that I brought with me on my vacation, but I didn't get around to reading them. So this first one, as you can see, I've already gotten a good way through, but this was before, and this is Roses by Leah Meacham. I don't know how to say her last name. This is about this family and their plantation, and how the protagonist of her story is given this plantation by her father who's just died, and she becomes obsessed with the plantation. Like, she's in love with it as her father was. And it's about how her close friends and family are trying to get her away from the plantation, because a plantation could never love you back, and they don't understand why she devotes her whole self to this plantation. And it causes all these problems with her and her friends, with the guy that loves her, that wants to marry her. And, well, there's 2 guys that actually love her, so again, another book with the love triangle in it. And it causes problems between her relationship with her brother and her mother, because her mother is all mad because the father never gave the plantation away to their daughter, and she has always felt like the father's always chosen the plantation over his wife. And I'm guessing that Somerset, the prequel to this novel, is about her parents. But I don't know. So this is compared to Gone with the Wind, and Gone with the Wind is one of my favorite classic novels, and I love it. And I love that it's in large print. It's so awesome that's large print. And it's like the chapters are short. It's a quick read. It's a lot quicker than reading Gone with the Wind, that's for sure. And so far, and I really enjoyed it. Before I stopped and took a break from it, I really was very sad. I was really enjoying this book, and I hope to continue it. And I think I'm almost on the next half of the book. I think I'm almost towards the end of the first half. I don't know though. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, so I want to read this one. And then the last 2 I have not started, and these are both about female protagonists. This is YA, so in most YA, the protagonist is a lot of times female. This is Roseblood, and I did not realize that this is the same woman who wrote the Splintered series, the Alice in Wonderland retelling, so I guess she likes writing retellings, which I admit would be really fun to do, and I would love to do that, but I would also love to write my own fairy tales. But fairy tales, not like the fairy tale format, but have a fairy tale feel, kind of like the Hazelwood. I have a couple stories that I wrote when I was in school with help from, and some of them where I had help with friends, and I would like to improve them and turn them into actual novels. And a couple of them I could see that they could be fairy tales. Okay, so this one is a retelling of Phantom of the Opera, and from what I heard, it's a more modern retelling. And I'm guessing, looking at the cover, that it's a gender reversed Phantom of the Opera retelling, where the Phantom character, or the one that's scarred, is the female character, the protagonist of the story, and she's a woman. So I'm very excited about that. And I don't care if it's a modern, I don't care if it's in a modern. I love stories that are like taking classics from a different time period and kind of modernizing them. But you know, I also am I can be very particular. Like, if a Cinderella story, the one with Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray, if that was written in a book, I probably wouldn't read it. But I also like, it will help if it's in, you know, it helps if it's in like a unique, even if it's in a school, the school setting is a little bit more unique than modern American high school type story. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'm gonna like it. I mean, there's a chance I might not, but I'm not, you know, I can be picky, but I'm not always picky. I'm a little more open, but I can be picky. So yeah, I want to read that. And the last one I have here that I brought with me to vacation that I didn't get to is Hunted, another Beauty and the Beast retelling. Oh, I didn't see this. This is cool. A Beauty Deadlier Than the Beast. I think that's so cool. Which reminds me, I can't remember what book it was. I was watching a booktube video where they talked about if you have the hardcover edition of a certain book, then like you'll it has one of the books in the. It's not this one. I love this green color. I love this. See, I love this color. I love this green. I think it's really cool. But and one of my favorite booktubers, Murphy Napier, talks about how great this book is, how this is her favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I finally got around to getting it. And unfortunately, that was the day. This is one of the 5 books that I got that one day, and where I couldn't narrow it down and couldn't decide. So anyway, so those are the books I'm thinking about reading. I don't know if I'll get to all those because I think I only have like 2 weeks left of the month. And, you know, I'm working and I don't know how many days I'm going to be working this week. I'm going to try, but I do, so I can, you know, get on the schedule more and make more money. I want to try and at least get a few more days, get on the schedule, like maybe 3 days a week. And I'm only a part-time employee, so it's half the amount of time most people work. It's like only 4 hours, maybe close to 6 hours. So anyway, those are my books. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe already. Please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I don't know if I actually asked this question in the previous video I made or in this one, but I think I meant to ask this question in the previous video. That what is the difference between a memoir and an autobiography? Because a biography is written by someone else. An autobiography is by the person that the book is about. So is it because like autobiography is kind of written like a biography, where it's still stating, you're stating facts, and you're writing like a textbook, and a memoir is maybe more emotional? I don't know, but if you know the answer to that, I would really love to know, and I will talk to you guys later. Alright, bye!